had we not talked about it, I might just have assumed, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like she would want me home. So I come home for half an hour and then that actually makes her night harder. I think that I'm doing something kind and special. And then in her eyes, this just makes her evening harder. And
Mhm.
so that's where it comes back to that idea of what are the expectations, making sure you're on the same page. And ultimately at the root of it, your desire should be to serve your spouse.
Hey, One Degree fam, I'm Nathaniel.
And I'm Zan, and this is the 1 Degree Podcast, where we talk about what it looks like to be married as followers of Jesus.
Look, we know that life gets full. Marriage, kids, work, church, sports, the list goes on and on. But we believe that a thriving marriage does not happen by accident.
Each episode will give you real conversations, practical tools, and biblical encouragement to help you connect deeply with your spouse and live on mission together.
So, whether you're folding laundry, driving to work, or maybe even working out, we're glad you're here with us.
Let's dive in.
What is up, 1 Degree fam?
That's my job. Hello, welcome to the cozy, comfy virtual leather couch.
You didn't do it right.
I knew I wouldn't. What did I miss?
Well, no, you were just like, welcome to the comfy, cozy,
because
virtual
I was-
leather couch.
But did I do the right adjectives?
Yeah.
Okay, just read the transcript
What's
and it'll
up,
seem
1
like
Degree
the same.
fam?
Welcome back to the comfy, cozy, leather, virtual leather couch.
So excited to have you here. Let's set the scene for you.
Okay.
So, your name is Nathaniel, and you are super excited to go to the Cubs game tomorrow with a buddy. And you're
Mhm.
going to leave right after work and pick up this buddy and go to the Cubs game. In the morning, you say to your wife, Zan, hey,
What? I knew all this.
what?
It seems like you're about to set this up with an example of our failings, but this
Yeah.
wasn't a failing.
This was because when I bought the tickets Monday night and then you didn't realize I had bought the tickets, remember, on Tuesday morning?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. And then you say, hey, don't forget, I'm going to the Cubs game tomorrow. And she responds,
I think I said I had no idea you were going to a Cubs game. You never once mentioned a Cubs game.
and I said,
And I do remember this now. And he said, yeah, I told you that I was talking to Chad about buying them. And I was like, it was like I was cleaning, I was asking him to clean. And then he was staring at his phone. And I was like, what are you doing? And he said, talking to Chad about the Cubs.
no.
End of sentence. End of sentence. And I was like, well, can Chad wait to talk about the Cubs? End of conversation.
No. I know I said going to
It
the
was not
game.
about the Cubs game.
It
was about the Cubs. So I was like, okay, I'm so glad you guys are discussing the scores, but can you help me clean right now? And then I find out 24 hours later that you purchased tickets to go to Chicago and be gone for the entire afternoon and evening.
Anyway, our failings can be an illustration. This is often how life can work. Maybe it's not with the Cubs game, but maybe it's, hey, you're walking out the door for work and your spouse says, don't forget that you have to pick up the kids from school. And then you're like, I had no idea I was supposed to pick up the kids from school. I have an important meeting at 3:00 or whenever it is, and yada, yada, yada. So oftentimes when we are in marriage, we are reactive instead of proactive, especially when it comes to the schedule. Like maybe we have a schedule, whether it be a paper calendar on the fridge or a shared note on a phone or an app or the calendar app or whatever it may be. But usually one person is kind of responsible for keeping the calendar and then they just tell the other person when they have important stuff coming up. And a lot of the times, the two situations like I just described will happen. And so what we're going to talk about today is just the importance of being on the same page and what does it look like to be intentional about your upcoming schedule so that you can be proactive instead of reactive.
Yes. So, in an ideal scenario, we would cover the entire week in full on Sunday.
Yeah. And
because we do. But I'm saying it's ideal because that assumes the factor of nothing's going to change from this Sunday. Like we can foresee everything that is coming.
And
when you purchase tickets on a Monday, it throws a little wrench.
Yes, that was the issue that we had, and I didn't communicate quickly enough.
Right. So, starting with that though, in all seriousness, again, if you listen every week, you've heard it a million times by now. But first line of defense is our weekly marriage meeting. First and most important line of defense, because it is the most all-encompassing. One of the questions that we asked during this is it's 2 parts. Or is it 2 separate questions?
It's 2 separate questions.
2 separate questions now. It used to be 2 parts. One, what is the calendar for the week? What is our schedule for the week? So we are a Apple, like a note, or not Apple Notes. What am I trying to say? Calendar, iCal. Apple Calendar. There we go. Family. It is synced to my laptop, his phone, my phone. I live by it. Like that is what it's hard for me because my work is all Google Calendar, but I just like have duplicate events of everything. In case you were curious, some people will care. I know you're about to say no one cares, but some people will care.
Yeah.
I pull it up during our meeting and I go through each day and we talk through like, okay, this day looks normal. Okay, this day, oh, you have this meeting, or like, oh, whatever. And we literally just do that. And then the second question is, so what expectations do we have? Because it's one thing to just know, like, okay, there's T-ball practice on Wednesday. Well, what is our expectation? Are all the kids coming? So for us, it'd be like, okay, well, am I bringing the toddler, or am I going to stay home with him because it kind of intersects nap time or nap time or bedtime, depending on
which. Because it's at 7 p.m.
Yeah. So let's communicate that on the front end. Who's getting the girls ready for T-ball? Those kind of things. Like having those conversations just helps you so much of life. It's like, I think it's that Shakespeare. There's a Shakespeare quote about like the root of all disappointment is expectations. Or
unmet expectations.
Expectations might not be Shakespeare either. But
probably not. Doesn't sound too Shakespearean.
Okay. Well, it's somewhere. Now I need to Google it. But
here, I'll look it up. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
But anyway, I feel like that's true that expectations really are key to everything, in the sense I'm even thinking, so the day he did go to the Cubs game, he was gone. He left early in the morning, pre 7:00, to drop the car off to get an oil change, and then wasn't home until after I went to sleep, midnight almost. And
you were right.
It is Shakespeare.
Expectation is the root of all heartache. Yeah. The root of all disappointment.
Yeah, it was stored up there in that thought cooker.
Wow.
So anyway, he was gone the entire day, but come Tuesday, I did have the expectation that was going to be the case. And I even told him when we were doing a recap of the week, or maybe even just whatever, Hilo Buffalo the next day, I was like, honestly, Wednesday was probably a highlight of the week, even though it was like the hardest solo parenting wise.
I can go to more Cubs games.
No, it's like it would fizzle. But I went into the day like, okay, there's going to be a lot more on me. I'm going to be, like working from home and also have the kids all day. And there's no like countdown to 5:30 when dad gets home. There's no like countdown to bedtime when dad handles that. And I just clock into working and clean. Like my normal things that I'm like looking forward to, like switching my mode in my brain, were not there. So I was like prayed up, literally. Like I went into the day. I like even read a liturgy to go along. And I was like, I just really need an extra dose. Don't read into this. I'm just joking. But an extra dose of the Holy Spirit today. And we're going to make it a fun day. And I was fun mom. Like we did the water table. We did this water slide. We had the sprinkler. We did the fun things because I had my expectations set of like what the day would be. And I think but that wouldn't have been the case if it would have been crazy if I just like didn't know you were going at all. But if I had thought like, oh, he'll come home for an hour after work, then I would have had the mentality of like, oh, I'm waiting till 5:30. I don't know. It's just, I don't need to beat a dead horse. But it all comes down to like, what are you prepared for? I think for myself, at least, like I can handle a lot when I know it's coming.
Yeah. So 2 things. First of all, it sounds that me coming home and being intentional with the kids and all that kind of stuff is preventing you from having opportunities for growth.
Whatever.
So I need to pursue more opportunities like the Cubs game to allow you to grow into.
And vice versa.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
But in all seriousness, the important thing I would say is it is helpful both ways. So this week in our weekly marriage meeting on Sunday night, Zan talked about that on Monday and Wednesday, she wanted to focus on getting a workout early in the morning. Tuesday, Thursday, it wasn't as important with the kids not here.
I can do like a lunch break workout
or something
sometimes.
like that.
But I did it this morning early.
Yeah.
Regardless.
But so you had said, especially on Monday and Wednesday, hey, can I prioritize getting my workout in instead of you going to the gym those days? And I said, yeah, that's perfect. You can get up. You can do your workouts, and then once you're done with your workouts, I can just go for a quick run. So it doesn't take much time. It takes 25 minutes. I don't need
To
to
give
leave and go somewhere.
context to this, the reason I have to even communicate that, because I work out in my living room, it is mentally helpful for me to know that if the kids happen to wake up early, which does happen a lot,
Yeah.
answer to prayer that hasn't happened this week. It's been 7:00, but I don't do well mentally with like slinging heavy weights around and then like also having a kid. It gets me like very nervous, and that turns into like a little frustration rage type thing going on because it's just like stressful for me. So when I'm working out in the living room, I want to make
No
sure
one
that
interrupts you when she's working
kind
out.
of. I hate it, but it's like, you're in that like mode where I'm not trying to even talk to anyone. Like it's like I'm exerting every bit of physical.
Oh, I know.
I know, but then it's like I don't want to be. What are you saying? Because
No,
I get
I'm
it.
just saying, like, I'll ask you a question when you're working out, and you'll like be mad at me for
I think
asking
it's
a
like
question.
my testosterone bumps up or something. I don't know what it is. That's not right. But I get ragey if I'm interrupted. It's just like I'm not, maybe if I were doing yoga or something, it wouldn't be like that, or like something low key. But anyway, point is, I want to have him on parent duty, or like, yeah, it doesn't even have to be that involved. Just like, hey, if somebody wakes up, like you're getting them breakfast so that I'm not like doing this at once. So that's
Yeah.
why in an ideal world, when our kids sleep at least just till 6, we can both get our workouts in uninterrupted, but it hasn't always worked
Yeah.
out like that.
But what I am saying by that, we had that expectation going into the week. When
Yeah.
we're able to talk about what is our weekly schedule, what is our expectation, and doing that prevents so much, I would say, disappointment, and then it prevents so many little conflicts from
Yeah.
popping up. Like if you had in your head of like, oh, I'm going to try to get my workout in this morning, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to the gym this morning, and then the kids woke up, you would have been really
For
frustrated,
sure.
and it by communicating on the front end, you were able to prevent those frustrations from happening. And so that's where I would say is that, so let's just take through what does it look like for us. So like for anyone out there, like, okay, you've been using this, giving these examples, but practically speaking, what does this look like for y'all? So first of all, like Zan said, we use our Apple Calendar. So that is synced. We have everything on there together. We are both responsible for going through, updating it, adding stuff, keeping track of it, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I will say you don't have to use an Apple Calendar. There's so many. Paper calendar on the fridge.
No.
Or like
You got to use something that syncs.
whatever. Starlight. Isn't there that like Starlight
Skylight.
thing? Skylight?
Starlight is
whatever it's called?
Elon Musk's internet.
Okay. Skylight.
Skylight. I mean, no, I'm kidding. I'm not dogmatic about that, but I can't imagine. I know so many people do the
Yeah.
fridge at home, but for me, it's like you're out and somebody asks you about your availability on this day. The
Yes.
only way to reliably like be all on the same page is you have it with you and it's live updated. But maybe if your plans are more simple or whatever, I don't know.
And I know people that have the Skylight, and it's really cool because you can add chores and what's for dinner and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
I'm
so
not that level of prepared.
there are so many different ways that you can keep track of. Regardless of what it is, pick something for you and your spouse. This is what we're doing. This is what the schedule is going to be on. We're both, responsible for keeping it updated and keeping it up to date. And then, like Zan said, if you've listened to us for more than 2 minutes, you know that we're going to beat you over the head with our weekly marriage meeting and say, like, it is so
But if you listened to
pivotal.
last week, you know that it's not because it's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
We don't care if you buy anything. It's just
the
because we
importance
believe in
of
it.
having a weekly marriage meeting with your spouse. And in that, one of the questions that we have that we talk about every week, like Zan already said, is what is our upcoming schedule? What expectations do we have from one another this week? And so at that point, we literally pull out our phones and we go through each day. Okay, so Monday, they have their little co-op thing, and then we're bringing them back. And what did we have last night? I don't think we had anything last night.
No.
Yeah. Okay. And then Tuesday, it's like, okay, we've got Tuesday night
Small
after,
group.
the kids going to my mom's. Then we have small group. We're picking them up. We're going to small group. And then yada, yada, yada. We go through the whole week. Wednesday, it's still up in the air. We might have T-ball practice at 7 p.m. or we might have it Saturday at 11. Let's put both on the calendar.
And let's have plans for both. Like,
Let's
what do
have
we do?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so what's the plan for each? And we work through the whole week like that. And then at the end of that, we say, we're kind of discussing it as we go, but just kind of wrap it all up with, okay, firmly established expectations. Okay, T-ball practice, 7 p.m. Wednesday night. you're going to stay home with Asher. You're going to go ahead and put him to bed. I'll take the girls and we'll have practice and do all that kind of stuff and then come home after. And, just setting those expectations for what those look like. Or, hey, on Monday, that's what it was. I did have something. I had my guys group last night.
True.
So
Yeah,
I
you
had my
didn't even
guys
come
group
home.
and it started at 6:00. And so I told Zan, any expectations? We talked about this ahead of time. Do you want me to come home for half an hour beforehand, or do you want me to just work late and go straight there? And you had said that a lot of times it's harder to have me home just for a tiny little bit and then leave again.
Yeah, because we like switch modes and then have to switch back. And it's just
Yeah.
like, just stay later.
So you just said, just stay later and then go straight there. And so that's what I did. But again, had we not talked about it, I might just have assumed, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like she would want me home. So I come home for half an hour and then that actually makes her night harder. I think that I'm doing something kind and special. And then in her eyes, this just makes her evening harder. And
Mhm.
so that's where it comes back to that idea of what are the expectations, making sure you're on the same page. And ultimately at the root of it, your desire should be to serve your spouse. We talk about this a lot in previous episodes and all of that. But the best marriages come when each spouse is seeking to serve their spouse at the expense to themselves.
Yeah.
When both spouses have that mentality.
Put their needs, the spouse's needs above their own. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
I'm trying to think of other ways that we're proactive about this. I would say that really is the bulk, and it does work. Like
Yeah.
maybe on a daily basis, just kind of like that quick reminder type check-in of like, hey, remember this is what the day has.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say honestly, keeping a calendar is key. The weekly marriage meeting wouldn't even be effective if we didn't have
Have a calendar. Yeah.
that piece of the weekly marriage meeting wouldn't be effective if we didn't have a calendar, because it would still just be so disorganized. I cannot imagine not having a calendar.
Yeah.
And that's coming from two very like not type A people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of type C, so that's just something I'm type A about.
Yeah, of course you're different.
No, the type C is this like you're super type A
Is
about
type C a real thing?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was literally just type A, type B, and you were just creating a new
Type
category.
C is this new thing that has been created because it's like your kind of things. Like you have to admit, I'm very type A about some things. Like when it comes to like work type tasks,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm very type A about
I'm also
productivity.
very type A about something.
You
so
are.
I guess I'm
So
type
maybe
C.
you're type C. I think
We're all
that's
type C.
true. So,
You
but
know what?
when
I
it
don't want
comes
to be
to
type C. I want to be type D. I'm
What?
type D.
whatever, so we are pretty structured about a calendar. A weekly marriage meeting falls into that. Like that's a very like not type B thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is. It
Yeah,
also is
I
very
get what
on
you're
brand
saying.
for us. Okay.
Yes.
The point of that is, I think I was just saying, I can't imagine not having a calendar, and we're not even the type of people that like have a plan for most things. So, anyway, you got anything else?
No, I think that's the bulk of it. And hopefully, this was short. It was simple. And I think I want to highlight that a lot of what we offer isn't going to be this like, do this revolutionary thing and your life will forever be changed.
Right.
The goal of what we have to offer is simple 1 degree shifts that when you enact them, you will notice changes 1 year, 5 year, 10 years down
1
the
week,
road.
even sometimes. It's
Yeah.
not even always about the long game.
But I'm
yeah,
saying it's
they're
like
small.
simple, consistent changes. We're not telling you, oh, you need to go out right now and run 30 miles or whatever, this big drastic overhaul. But no, start walking 2 miles a day or whatever it is. Like these small, consistent changes are going to have huge impacts over the long run. And so hopefully when you hear us say these things, you'll be encouraged and then also a little convicted that it isn't about this giant overhaul. It's about these small, intentional changes that when stacked day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, they're going to make a huge change in your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So 1 degree shift, I would say, is if you don't have a calendar, start keeping a calendar with your spouse, whatever that
agree.
looks like. The Skylight, the
Not Sterling.
Apple calendar, paper calendar, whatever that looks like. And then number 2, I would say that
Review it on a weekly basis.
review it on a weekly basis and ask each other that question. What do we have on the upcoming schedule? What expectations do we have for one another this week? Yeah.
All right. Catch you next week, 1 Degree fam.
Love you, fam.
Thanks for tuning in for this episode of the 1 Degree Podcast.
Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'd be so appreciative if you take just a few seconds to leave a rating and a quick review. We love to hear your feedback, and those ratings really do help make it easier for others to find this podcast.
And if you want to continue this chat or share your takeaways, we'd love to hear from you. Head on over to our Instagram @The One Degree Podcast and leave a comment or send us a DM. We can't wait to hear from you. Catch you next week, One Degree fam.